Hello, welcome to another edition of Tales of Pails. We'll be switching up a bit today. We'll be discussing a story about a video game experience rather than a board game. Sorry to disappoint if you wanted a board game. I think if you stick around, you'll find this entertaining. Today's story takes place in the setting of an MMORPG. It's a massively multiplayer online RPG. As per usual, the story features a companion. Today's companion will be my old roommate. For purposes of the story, we're going to call him Turd Ferguson, or Turd for short. The story takes place in a simpler time when your work week is 20 hours long. You have enough free time to hit max level in an MMORPG in a span of 3 weeks. And the only time that you really want to leave your apartment is to go get more cigarettes. Because of that, you always order your food. Usually, optimally, you can get delivery from somewhere that also delivers energy drinks, because that is the main nutritional sustenance for hardcore MMORPG players. That was true then, and it's true now. This story takes place in none other than Norath. That's right, the land where the original pioneer that paved the way for WoW took place. I'm talking about Everquest. So I'm going to give some background on Everquest, and not because I need to wax nostalgic about it, because it's definitely not something you want to play today. But for purposes of the story, you just need to understand that the design philosophy back when this game was made was not around player experience or streamlining that at all. It was around simulating the pen and paper RPG experience and making your little avatar on screen be as accurate to that experience in the context of being able to immerse yourself in that world. That said, this led to a lot of odd design choices. This includes the famous corpse retrieval mechanic from EverQuest. So there was no graveyard or anything back then, and it was just if you died, you went back to the last place that you happened to go to this soul binder person and say that you wanted to respawn at, no matter how far it happened to be away. It could be 2 fucking continents away, and that's where you would respawn. So it'd be like back in 40 minutes, bro. So yeah, it was and you'd run back naked. You weren't like a ghost or something. You would just if something aggroed you, you would just die again and lose more experience and be 2 continents away if you happened to bind there. Also, if you happen to be looking for this corpse, there were no maps in this game, and you actually even had to level up to skill. I'm sorry, skill up a skill to tell what direction you were even fucking facing. There's no built-in map feature. You could get maps offline. Cause, I mean, the internet still existed back then. You could look separately on a website and find this map, and there'd be like these archaic coordinates and shit. You had to be like a cartographer to read this thing. It's like fucking you need Dora the Explorer in your party to navigate your way around Norath. But at any rate, that was one way around having to use the sense heading skill to tell what direction you were facing. You could use the actual coordinate numbers and generally tell which way you were running. Of course, if you had a shitty computer, you'd need to look this up on a second computer because you didn't want to I don't know, lag out, or I don't to be honest with you, I can't even remember if you could minimize your screen if it was a full screen only application. But at any rate, it wasn't terribly convenient. This map happens to be where the second half of this story takes place. So the ruins of Kunark or Kunark expansion had just come out, and we decided that we were going to hit up some quests on the brand new Ixar race after re-rolling. So we find this dude, and he offers this awesome quest, which, looking from the rewards, I'm not really sure why on earth we thought that doing this quest was worthwhile. But at any rate, we decided that we needed to do this quest, so we provisioned up our gear, headed out the Lake of Ill Omen to retrieve said items. Now remember this gear that I just showed you. It'll be important later in the story. And by later, I mean this is like a 2 minute story, not even, but whatever. So we're out there in the lake. Looks pretty ominous. I don't remember if this zone was dangerous, but pretty much all the zones were dangerous in this game. Like for some reason they like to have like level 50 monsters hanging out in like starter zones that just stepped on you, and then you got back to go back to your soul bind point that we talked about earlier. But at any rate, so an hour passes, 2 hour passes. We have all the quest items except for the mud crabs, and eventually we just decide that these mud crabs like might not exist. But eventually, I think like 3 hours later, we hammer out one mud crab for each of us. We've completed said quest except for the turn in. We've gathered the requisite items. But unfortunately, what I don't realize is that Turd is not a knowledgeable historian of Norath like myself. Uh, so had he been, he would have been aware. I'm gonna take you back to the backpack here. That denizens of Norath are very particular about how they eat their food from upper left of the backpack or inventory down. That's how all of them eat their food. And for some reason, nothing else is automated in this game, but eating food is. They will do that automatically. These are hungry fucking citizens. But anyway, that said, so the said quest item that we've been looking for 3 hours and pointlessly killing whatever it is that drops said mud crabs. Uh, well, it happens to actually also be a food. So at any rate, that food just automatically dropped into said slot where the characters start eating from. So we make the trek back, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, why can't we turn in the quest?" And yeah, so it turns out Turd had eaten the quest item. So that's it. That's the story. If you're playing some really archaically designed game, then and it wasn't at the time, it was an awesome game at the time, but the point is don't eat your quest items. If you like this video, please click like. If you would like to see more content like this, please do hit subscribe. It really helps out. So anyway, appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.